Hi guys, so first things first, I changed location again. This is my bed where I'm sleeping. That's my alligator curtain, my string lights, my usa-chan, and my stitch zoom zoom, and some pillows. So welcome to my room. Sorry if my voice sounds a bit funny or if I'm talking a little weird. I am on the same floor as my family and I'm trying not to wake them up. I decided I wanted to talk a little bit more about the thing I discussed in my last video, which was like a month ago. Mental health. And I decided in this video I wanted to talk about how I cope with anxiety. And the first thing you may question is, you cope? Well, sorta. I sorta cope with anxiety. I mean, I still have it, but it's a lot better than it used to be, and I can sorta deal with it. So a big thing for anxiety, and this doesn't help me as much, but it might help someone else, is when you're in a situation where you're uncomfortable and you're anxious and panicking about the outcome, is to think of the worst possible outcome and the best possible outcome, and maybe neither happened, but that's it, neither happened. The worst thing didn't happen, and it wasn't that bad. Besides, like, you know, generally being aware of why you shouldn't be anxious, that obviously doesn't fix anything. And there are two things that can help. One thing is called mindfulness, and the other thing is called a grounding exercise. So I want to get into the mindfulness stuff first, and the like coping with, helping with anxiety part before I get into the how to get out of a panic attack if you're having one. So one thing that's really good is keeping track of your sleep, and you know, good sleep is important. So is good eating and good exercise. Don't ask me about either of those things. But a big thing is sometimes with anxiety you have a lot of bad dreams, good dreams, but I tend to have a lot of nightmares, like probably a good 3 a week. Sometimes it's more like every night, sometimes I don't have them for a couple weeks, but I have a lot, and one thing is keeping track of them in things like a dream journal. This one, I haven't started filling mine in, but I just got this. It actually came with something else I'm going to mention in a minute. And another part is mindfulness, like doing things to make you stay away from, not stay away, but like you take a break for a little bit. And one of those things is actually this really great magazine I found, and you can get a subscription to it. I think this is their first ever issue. There's one more out, but it has lots of mindfulness activities, and it's where this dream journal came from. But, you know, it helps, like, list 3 things you do without paying attention, which is part of an article that goes with it, and it's really great. This is called Teen Breathe, but there is also a Breathe magazine, which is more adult, I guess. I picked this one up because it looked good, and I couldn't find the other one in the store because it is a UK-based magazine, and it's very small and starting out, but the Books A Million I was in had it, so I picked it up because it looked good. It has plenty of helpful things like how to get better at speaking in public and talking to people, how to be comfortable going into new situations, so I do highly recommend this. And then there's always the indulging in stuff type of stuff that isn't like, you know, do this activity to help you calm down and make you think about your life and yourself and why you should not be stressed. So one thing I love to do to make me calm, I don't know, it's fun, is I love to color. So I have myself a box of crayons. Look at that. I'm not sponsored by Crayola, but Crayola, if you want to sponsor me, I do love your crayons. I have a Color Your Own Young Marvel book, which just has pictures to color in, and here's like a really silly Deadpool I colored the other day. And it's just good because I don't like the adult coloring books personally. They have too many tiny details and like the huge patterns that they expect you to color in. I like things that are simpler images, like there's less to color. Basically what I'm saying is I have no attention span and the coloring abilities of a 3-year-old, so I do think that this is something you can get even if, you know, your parents, if you're younger, might not understand mental health as much and you just want something to help you. you can get this for like $5. Just a box of crayons is $2 at Michael's, and you can get generic ones, but the name brand are $2. And this coloring book was more, but you can get coloring books for very, very cheap, and then if you want to make them better, just add your own details to them. And by that I mean add dangerous captions to what the cute animals on the page are saying. Apart from coloring and writing about yourself and thinking about your dreams, you can also do things like reading, and I love to read. So I had never read this as a child, and a lot of people have apparently. Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein. It's just silly poems, but you'll find that like sometimes reading out loud little silly things is fun. I find it's a good way to de-stress or just calm down. If I need something, I read one of these out loud. And then also finding people with the same thing as you. Finding people you can relate to, people you can take little bits of refuge in, whether that is characters or real people. If you have videos to watch, or a book to read, or shows and episodes or movies, and there's characters and people that go through the same thing, you start to feel a little less alone with your issues. So like finding good books with characters who have issues with mental health. Little promo for Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. Not that he needs it, but this is a good book with a great character. So indulge in characters and people and things that will make you feel less alone. So apart from things you can do to make you less anxious or stressed generally, which is more to prevent it from getting worse, if it does and you know you're having a panic attack, there's some things you can do. You're not completely helpless. One thing is that hot drinks and warm blankets or just something to hug or squeeze or put around you is really great when you're freaking out. I start to notice that when I get more and more anxious, I get colder. Somehow, without even realizing it, I always grab a hoodie or a sweater, or I'm wearing one of those. Even if it's hot out, like I live in the South, it doesn't get that cold during the summer, spring, fall, ever. But I always just have something when I'm anxious. So that's great. If you could have something to wrap around you, something to hold, something to keep you a little bit warmer, that can really help calm you down, because your brain's like, ah yes, comfort, warmth. I am okay. I am not in danger. But there are other things that are grounding exercises that you can do to help. To help. I just feel like I sound so weird as I'm talking right now. It's just because it's late and I'm tired and I'm trying to talk with a low voice, but also project. Grounding exercises. So if you have someone who can help you do a grounding exercise, something I discovered that actually I think it's more in mindfulness as apart from grounding exercise, but it very much works. Even if there's nobody there, if you can call somebody on the phone and just give them a warning ahead of time, obviously, do very simple math. Your brain has a hard time computing feelings and numbers and such at the same time. So if you can just add and subtract very basic addition and subtraction problems, you know, like 3 plus 5, then you know you're gonna start slowly calming down, because your brain's like, what the heck are we doing? We're doing math. Okay, we can't feel anymore. Which does explain why people become completely emotionless while doing math. But if you don't have someone there is something that I learned in therapy, which helps me a lot, and basically it makes you take in your surroundings and calm down so that you're not, you know, hyper focusing on everything and getting more and more panicked. And that is to use all of your senses. So count 5 things you can see in that moment, 4 things you can touch/feel, 3 things you hear, 2 things you smell, and 1 thing you taste, even if that's just the inside of your mouth at that moment. This helps you break down your senses and be aware of what's around you. You panic less. It's nice. This is the one that works for me the most. If I'm going about in public and I'm starting to feel really, really anxious, I slow down for a second and I do a little breathing exercise. I do a little breathing exercise and I just start counting. Basically, I count the 5 things I can see. I start looking for things I can feel and touch and listening a little bit more, and it calms me down a little bit. And then onto the breathing exercise I mentioned. Basically long, slow breaths. In for 7, hold for 7, and exhale for 11. I'm thoroughly sorry if this video was meh. I'm still adjusting and I haven't filmed in a while and it's late and I'm tired and I'm trying to be quiet, as I've said like 5 times. But I think the thing to understand and remember is you're still going to feel anxious. You might still have panic attacks. You might just not have good points in time. You will have baby weeks sometimes where it's just bad and there's not a lot you can do about it, but little things help sometimes, and even if they don't, that's okay. So yeah, hit subscribe for more content like this. I obviously have given up on a video schedule. Click the notification bell to be reminded when I don't make another video. Hit the like button if you liked this video, or if you didn't like this video, because I like when my videos have likes, and leave me a comment. Talk to me. I want to make conversation. Alright, I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.